What's up, gamers? Thank you so much for joining me today. This is a game that I've wanted to play for a really long time, and one that's inspired a lot of mine and yours favorite game franchises without us probably even realizing it. In today's video, we're going to take a closer look at Eco. My name is Max Deshaw, and this is Based Game Reviews. Story 20 out of 20. Intro. The game opens with a cutscene showing a strange boy with horns and some hooded figures approaching a colossal fortress on horseback. The title screen is then seamlessly presented to the player, and once they choose a new game, another lengthier cutscene plays out, laying more clues and hints as to what is taking place. So much is actually said in this intro with only a few lines of subtitles. It's a truly remarkable display of visual storytelling. The cutscenes blend into the gameplay so beautifully. They're paced evenly throughout the adventure and are wonderfully cinematic. World building. Eco prides itself on being extremely Spartan, both visually and with its gameplay. No NPCs, no shops, no UI for God's sake, not a single piece of text to read, and no items or inventory to speak of. Somehow, without all the traditional world-building components, the game still feels rich and breathing with life. There were moments where I actually put the controller down just to pause and acknowledge the feelings that were taking place inside me. Overall story. The story here, like the rest of the game, is simple but incredibly well executed. One of the most special things the game does is allow the player to use their own imagination to fill in the gaps. There are no exposition dumps, only the dozen or so cutscenes that supplement the adventure taking place in your head. Eco has been banished to this fortress by the people of his village because he was born with horns. He's offered as a sacrifice and locked away, but by some chance he manages to escape his cell, and this is where the player first gains control of him. Early into his stay, he meets a mysterious girl named Yorda, and the rest of the game unfolds as they work together to try and escape. It's the oldest story in the book, rescue the princess from the castle. But Eco makes it personal, it makes it intimate. And it's through this lens that the game really holds a firm grip on your emotions. Graphics, 19 out of 20. Something about the art style kept me saying to myself, damn, this game is aged well. The way Eco and Yorda look and move is incredibly organic and convincing. While there is a noticeable lack of detail, these are definitely stylized character models as opposed to realistic. They still manage to feel and look like living characters. Environments. There's something so alluring about the bleakness of Eco. Everything is so stripped down of color and polish, but somehow doesn't give the impression of looking cheap or unfinished. I felt like I was inside a painting in certain areas of the game. This is a huge testament to the art direction, which absolutely sells the experience. Special effects. For an early PS2 game, there was some really potent stuff here. Rainbows appearing in the mist from a waterfall, light bouncing off of the water, creating spots on walls, and overall pretty solid fire and smoke effects. The game's overall look, though, is defined by the masterful use of bloom lighting. They absolutely nailed it. Animations. Aside from the exceptional art design, the animations of the characters are one of its most outstanding qualities. There's a clumsiness and vulnerability to the way Eco and Yorda move, which makes them feel so alive and human. Two kids running around a castle trying to jump, climb, and dash their way through its many dangers and obstacles. Considering this game is pushing 25 years at this point, it's super impressive how well they captured the movement and feel of the characters. Even the way they climb up and down ladders has a very unique and distinct animation. Yorda is delicate and calculated, while Eiko is bold and a tad reckless. This immense attention to detail triggered real emotions that made me care about them. Audio, 20 out of 20. Ambience. If you've played the original Demon's Souls on PS3, you'll remember how a place so stark and desolate was able to enchant and fascinate you at the same time. This is more or less the same atmosphere that I felt throughout Eiko. Some birds croaking and the sound of wind, that's about it. I don't really understand what's going on here, but it works so well and is incredibly immersive. Very few games that I've played have pulled off this level of atmosphere. In an interview with Famitsu, Dark Souls creator and From Software boss Hidetaka Miyazaki famously stated that playing Eiko changed his life and ultimately led him to want to pursue a career in the gaming industry. You can see the influence everywhere. I found it quite amusing, honestly, as I played through Eiko my first time because of just how many things reminded me of the Souls series. It definitely put a smile on my face. Boss music. The theme for the final boss of the game is dramatic as hell and also sad at the same time. It's a really strong piece to support this climactic encounter. Sound design. Eiko and Yorda communicate to each other through very sparse dialogue in a made-up language that gives them both personality and adds another layer of immersion to the game. All of the environmental sound effects are super realistic and contributed in a big way to the feel of the game. Music is used very sparingly, as more of an embellishment than something that is designed to carry the experience. My favorite piece of music is the song that plays when you sit down to save your game. After escaping near death over and over and running from dark shadows, it made me feel safe and like everything was gonna be okay. Variety. Each cutscene has a unique piece of music as well as the final boss. For what is required of the game, it did exactly what it needed to do. Gameplay, 30 out of 40. Controls. Controlling Eiko can be frustrating. There's a lack of accuracy and tightness that a third-person game like this should possess. It's loose, almost on purpose though, because the fact that Eiko is a small boy almost plays out in the controls. He's a tad clumsy and feels juvenile. As a design choice, it's mega brilliant. On pure gameplay vibes, it definitely could have been better. On the other hand, all of the traversal and interactive aspects of the controls were great. Climbing ladders is a breeze, pulling and pushing boxes was crisp, and swinging the stick and sword to fight off enemies was fun. The game uses a dynamic camera style, which is constantly adjusting to provide you with the best possible view of the action. I can appreciate what it was trying to do, but ultimately I kind of grew to hate it, as it was far from perfect and also adjusted really quickly sometimes, which made me motion sick. You can take control of the camera to look around and assess the situation, which actually proves to be very useful on many occasions. But the camera itself is always trying to fight back to its original position and was, in a word, annoying. Mechanics. The crowning jewel of Eiko is the hand-holding mechanic between the two main characters. Pressing R1 will call Yorda towards you, and once she's close enough, pressing and holding the same button again will allow you to hold her hand and take her with you. This simple mechanic is what defines the gameplay. Yorda's fragility and helplessness is what gives the game tension, drama, and a sense of urgency. She can climb ladders like Eiko and jump across gaps, but she is much slower and demands your full attention. Pacing. The game is essentially one big Zelda dungeon. While I did get stuck on some of the progression points, I never got lost or stopped playing because I didn't know where to go next. The game does a really good job of pushing you through the castle without it actually feeling linear. It flows beautifully. UI and UE. There is absolutely no UI in the game whatsoever. Eco has no health bar, and there are no status ailments or inventory to monitor, and no map. It's actually kind of impressive that the game pulls this off so effortlessly and never once felt bland or lacking substance. Try and imagine a third-person adventure game in our current landscape doing the same thing. Developers nowadays are terrified that you'll be bored without 5,000 skins and won't be able to figure out the simplest things on your own or walk 10 feet without icons and arrows pointing the way. I have so much admiration for Eco because it respected me as the player. Like the hero himself, the game is bold and brave. Boss quality. There is one boss in the game, and they are at the very end of the adventure. The music, the arena, and the mechanics were all I could have asked for. Enemy variety. Even taking into consideration how stripped down everything in Eco is, the enemy variety still suffers. Black phantom creatures will pursue you at various points and attempt to capture Yorda. They appear out of black portals in the ground. Some of them fly and the others walk or crawl around. These are the only enemies in the game. Eco can dispose of them by whacking them with his stick or sword, but the combat is clunky and leaves a lot to be desired. Gameplay variety. The main gameplay element on offer here is exploration. The entire game takes place in a giant castle, and your goal is to try and escape. In very Zelda-esque fashion, you're doing all the usual stuff like climbing ladders, pushing blocks, lighting torches, and pulling switches. The one unique feature to Eco is the ability to climb ropes and chains. You can also swing on these to gain momentum, which will allow you to reach new, previously inaccessible areas when you let go and hop off. This was a lot of fun and made the exploration feel that much more dynamic. Replayability. My first playthrough took me roughly 7 hours, and my second one about half that. Eco is a short game with arguably no replay value other than self-imposed challenges or simply trying to speedrun it. There are, however, some secret weapons you can obtain in the game which I never would have known about had I not looked it up. Eco also has an optional extended ending. Overall, 89 out of 100. Great. Eco is a vibe. It's all about the feeling. It's one of those games that I feel like every gamer needs to experience. It's an incredibly courageous achievement that makes no attempts to be anything but itself and leaves the player with a profound, lasting impression. Eco is the French baguette with nothing but ham and butter that changes your life, versus the Subway sandwich with every single ingredient and all the sauces that still somehow leaves you feeling hungry. It might not be the best game ever made, but it could be one of the most important.